This week on the Unpopular Opinion Show.
Might get that bushy, but not the top of my head. T, this had his pants sagging and a thong on.
You don't have to be black to be a new Negro, by the way.
So it's now modern women saying that I don't want to cater to no man. I'm marrying somebody up in here.
There is colorism within Latinos also. It's like excluding dark-skinned black people out of Brooklyn.
You will not ever truly know because you cannot ever know the operation of another person's mind.
I think you need to say clearly what happened.
Who gives a fuck?
I don't care if you personally kick Candace Owens and her stinky
Cray.
No good thing starts with, I was thinking about my ex.
He ain't learned his lesson. That's a brother ain't gonna learn shit.
I know this is gonna be unpopular and I don't care.
Let's keep this shit funky.
What's up, y'all? Happy Juneteenth. Happy Father's Day. Happy it's another day, man. Welcome to the Unpopin Show. I'm T Storm, and joined always as always, my partner in crime, DJ Mike Swift. What up, fam?
What's happening, brother? What's happening? Glad to see we all made it. Happy Father's Day to you.
Thank you. Same to you, brother. Happy Father's Day to you, man.
Thank you.
For this Father's Day, I'm preparing for, and I'm surprised you hadn't said nothing about it yet. I am preparing for a throwback party, a birthday party, in Prospect Park, Brooklyn, in the roller rink. It's outside, you know what I mean? It's for family too. But they hired me to DJ to come and tear it down. And it's a throwback, 80s, 90s, like put your best, 70s, 80s, 90s gear on, or Janet Jackson. That's what So I'm curious to see who comes as Janet Jackson. But I did my 80s/90s thing, and if you look closely, I got the high top fade popping right now. Look, this is genuine. This is the real thing. I cut it myself. I'm gonna shape it up in time for the party next week. And by the time you see this, the party would have happened already. But who flat top ruled in '89? I brought it back. That's
See, I wish when back in the '80s, I had the high top fade like up to here. Now my hair will not grow, or at least the hair on my head will not grow that long. On my back and out my nose maybe, but not on the top of my head.
Taco meat, yes. Hair, no, not so much.
My balls might get that bushy, but not the top of my head.
Oh man, yeah. So that's what I'm rocking the throwback haircut. I see you see these kids around New York City called the retro kids.
Okay.
They would be dressed in what I would say was their big brother's outfits and stuff like that, because cross colors, flat tops, gold jewelry, all that good stuff. They used to rock it. I would see them out in different events and stuff like that. It was cool. I don't think they danced or anything like that. They just was, and they would get gigs to come out dressed like that. Shout out to the retro kids. But yeah, I see them all the time and be like, yo, I had my hair like that.
I'm glad we're talking about this because it just reminded me of something that happened. And look, everybody please hang in there, right? So YouTube analytics, I look at them, and usually when we talk shit at the top of the show, y'all be like, fuck it, just get to what we came here to see, and you bail. So hang in there with us for a second. It's worth it. So I go today to get my emissions done, right? My birthday was last week, and I didn't get the tag thing. And I was like, I got to do that shit. So I get up and I go, and then I look, and the city or the state of Georgia is very woke because they are closed to celebrate Juneteenth. So fine. But I go to get the emissions done anyway. And I pull up to the emissions. I get out of the car. I'm the guy's doing his thing. And a young brother walks up with a black shirt on that has security on the back. So, I don't know what he's doing. He's just walking. He's on the phone, and his pants are sagging. T, this nigga had his
Okay.
pants sagging and a thong on. I'm not kidding you. He was sagging with a thong. I felt like saying, bro, we don't want to see that, bro. I'm not making this up, everybody. I promise I'm not. This actually happened probably about 2 hours ago. It's fresh in my mind.
Sagging with a... I have no words. I was not prepared. Wait a minute. What the hell? Stop. You are in Atlanta, though, so...
Yeah, and I was, not far from
Might have
Midtown,
been.
so.
From Midtown, so...
There we go.
Wow. Okay, listen. I don't know what to say to that without being terribly offensive, so I'll stop now.
One more bit of business before we jump into some stories, because there's a lot of stories.
Mhm.
If you haven't figured it out yet or checked us out and noticed, we've gone to doing the full hour show twice a month, and in between we do reaction videos. There's a few of them up there now, super funny in my opinion. So go check them out. Unpopin Reacts. But if you recall back, if you've been rocking with us for a while, several months ago, we started a campaign called 100 for 100. And that was, we would bless somebody with $100 once we hit the 100 subscriber mark. We have hit and surpassed that mark. So I went into the comments and pulled a random person to win. That person is Soul Star Music Lover. We confirmed it's a she from her latest comment.
She, yes.
Has been rocking with us since almost the very beginning. She has been the most, she comments the most.
Active.
So
Yes.
she was gonna win that money because she the more times you comment, the greater your chance to win. We are gonna do another one for our next goal. Our next goal will be to get to 2,000. I don't know what
We're doing
that
2,000 for
prize will be.
2,000? We going there?
No, we the next goal is to get to 2,000 subscribers.
Right. I'm just saying, when we get to 2,000 subscribers, we're gonna do $2,000?
Hell no, I ain't giving these niggas $2,000.
And that, folks, that was the most real from DJ Mike Swift. This moment has been brought to you by the most real. Damn.
Oh.
That's funny.
But yeah, we'll figure something out. Like I said, I want to do a PlayStation 5, but it's hard to get your hands on those. So I'll try to get my hands on one, and we'll set that as the prize for the next goal.
Can we get a PlayStation 4 and just write 5 on that shit?
Can we get 5 PlayStation 1s?
PlayStation 1s and just give, that could work. But yeah. But thank you for following and hanging with us and subscribing and telling folks about us and all that, and continuing to help us grow. You know, we got some more shit to come, to do with this. Now, where we going? I saw there's quite a few interesting things that happened this past week. I'll start with the low-hanging fruit. Have you seen the reaction to Destiny's Child, Cater to You?
No, I have not.
For some reason, new Negroes, and I say this is my term, new Negroes, have decided to cancel the song Cater to You and called it like something like slave culture or something like that. Like, the song Destiny's Child, to Cater to You. I'm not going to play it because copyright.
We will get pummeled by copyright for that one.
Yeah, Matthew is not having it. They've been trying to cancel that song.
I'm looking for the story. Like, what? Okay, first off, what would make them pull that song up? Because that's an old ass song.
I don't know. So why do people pull old things in the first place? Like that, just and to pick. Like they did the same thing with Eminem with Eminem's lyrics at one point. They're trying to cancel Eminem because of old lyrics. Again, new Negroes. You don't have to be black to be a new Negro, by the way.
It's
Just wanted
New
to set that
Negro is
out there.
inclusive.
It's all inclusive. New Negroes. You could be white with that. But what I loved about this story in particular is that Michelle Williams of the group Destiny's Child got a hold of it, heard about it. They was canceling her song, that song, and she had this to hang on, I'm going to let it rebuff, and you can put the video up in post if you can. But
Sure.
Here's what she had to say about it.
My name is Merlene, and I just read that y'all want to cancel the song Cater to You by Destiny's Child. Oh, honey, you didn't discern who you were catering to, and you gave your little pearls to swine. Don't be mad at Destiny's Child.
Okay. Everything that I say is going to be pure conjecture because I don't know the story. I haven't done my due diligence. It is my guess that the cancel movement of this song is led by women, right? Because generally the theme of the song was about women catering to their men, right?
Correct.
So it's now modern women saying, fuck that. I don't want to cater to no man. Fine. I think it's fair. I think you have the right to not want to cater to any man. Don't expect men to cater to you. It's only fair.
Now, I mean, and to be fair to Destiny's Child, this is the same group that did Independent Women, Pay My Bills, all those anthems, at one point. They're not canceling those records.
All those fuck guy anthems.
Right. They're not canceling those lyrics. Can you pay my bills? Can you pay my telephone bill? Can you pay my No, they're not canceling that. It's the one that, you don't like that one because I don't get it. I really don't get it.
Oh, I get it. It's not equality, it's advantage. They want advantage. The reason they're not canceling the Pay My Bills in the independent records, but want to cancel the cater to your man record is because that's the type of world they want to live in. They want to live in the world where they get the man that pays for everything and takes care of everything, but then want to look at him and say, I'm independent and I don't need you and you have no real value in my life. And no, I'm not going to do anything for you in order to get the stuff from you that I want to get. Good luck with that. I mean,
wow.
Hell, I want to fly. Probably ain't going to happen.
You mean you can't sprout wings and it's not going? Damn, I got to write that off my list now. Yeah. I don't know if there's a conversation that I had a little earlier. I conduct these interesting conversations and questions with a variety of people, and we'll only touch on it for a little bit. In fact, maybe we'll save it for a reaction video.
Okay.
But a question, I'll pose it now. And for you that are watching and listening, I'd like to see your answer for this. What's something that people glamorize, but is really toxic? I got a really, really interesting answer that you'll have to hear on the reaction video. So we won't address it in this episode, but toggle through the channel and you'll see that question answered. Like, I got all types of answers from Instagram, comparing yourself to other people, which is valid. But there was one specific answer a woman said that shocked the hell out of me.
Can you give them a little bit of what the answer was?
The answer? Well, if I say it, it's going to give it away.
Fair enough.
But it's an institution that many people are in or not. And that's all I can say about it without giving it, the full thing. So I'm sorry. That was a terrible tease, but a tease indeed. Check out the Unpopin Reacts for toxic things on real rooftop. You'll see it. You'll know what it is.
Look, that tease reminds me of my entire dating life.
Wow, that's horrible.
Funny because it's true.
Oh God. I listened to the intro, the line that we pulled that, not many good things come out of. I was thinking about my ex. That shit is just hilarious to me.
Well, that was episode 1, I think.
Yeah. Like 1 or 2, something like that. Yeah. Yeah.
All right, so
Okay,
it was a couple of stories. I mean, it was a lot that popped in the past couple of weeks. A couple that I thought were super interesting that I wanted to go over.
Okay.
The main one being this bride in India who passed away, and the wedding continued, and the groom married her sister.
Yeah, I saw that.
That is so sad.
I saw that. It's very sad in American culture, but again, it was in India, and I read up on that. There was some sort of agreement or whatever for the family that had to go on, and it was like, and what's sad about it is that the sister stepped up and they had the body of the deceased woman in the next room, and they proceeded on with the. That's cold.
That's some cold shit, bro. And it was, you would think, right? You would hear that story, and given how the media portrays men as just generally garbage and toxic, and all we want is sex and blah, 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 you would think when you hear that story that it was the groom who was like, I'm fucking marrying somebody up in here. It was the bride's mother. It was the mother of the dead girl. Oh my God. Oh my God.
That's ooh.
But
But again, it goes back to, it wasn't about, they weren't marrying for love. That was an arranged, seemingly an arranged marriage. And whatever the arrangement was in terms of what, monies that was to be exchanged to the family giving away the daughter, it was like, okay, we death ain't gonna hold this back.
Death ain't gonna mess up this business deal.
Right. Yeah, it's a shame. We'll mourn you later. But your sister got married, so we could pay for your wedding, so we can pay for your funeral now. That's horrible.
So what I thought was interesting. So I saw it and I felt bad, right? Like, because it's sad. Like, I get it. But when you compare and contrast that against our system here, it's like they get that marriage is more than feelings and love, right? That was literally the joining of two families. It was a contractual agreement, a deal to make both families stronger. And it shows, right, even though it's sad or whatever, it shows a level of commitment to the families to be like, yo, we can mourn later, but we gotta do this and make this happen. So, oh God, it broke my heart to read that story. But at the same time, I was like, some of that, I think we need some of that, especially in our community. I mean, granted, don't marry the sister while the body ain't cold, right? Like, don't do that.
Yeah,
but I think it's something in the middle of that has the romanticized notion of what marriage and weddings and all of that should be. And the reality of what it is, it's a business deal and it's a joining of families.
I think, that will never be the way out front, like here in the States. I mean, we have romanticized, and marriage is not just about, it's not about just about money, right? There is a significant part of it, but we've made it more about emotion. We've attached emotion to marriage, which is fine. It's good to be in love with someone that you're supposed to spend your life with, or the rest of your life with, or whatever I can't see American women signing on to go, hey, if this don't work out, if you know, your sister's up next.
She was prettier than you anyway. No.
There's a Biggie line that I could quote. I won't. Plus, she look better than you. Give head better than you. Coochie get wetter than you. Like, that's a Biggie line. But yeah, I can't see. I can never see that happening in the States. And women be cool with it.
I think there was a time where women were cool with it, right?
Cool with it or went along? Because just because you go along don't mean it was cool. It was, it just was the way it is. Arranged marriages, people went along with it. They weren't necessarily cool with it.
So I think they were cool with it because I think the times and the sentiment of the times were very different. I think now it is hyper romanticized. It should have some romantic nature to it, but I think it's hyper romanticized. To your point of it not being about money. Marriage is about money. It might not be about money to the people getting married, but it's about money to every industry that supports the romanticized nature of it. Like, who was that? It might have been Kevin Samuels. It might have been somebody else. It might have been some of the cats from Lapeef Let's Talk. Shout out to that crew. But they were talking about engagements and like, why is an engagement even necessary? It's another thing to sell. Like, why are big weddings necessary? It's another thing to sell. You got to have the place settings. You got to have the flowers. You got to have the chair covers. You got to have chairs. I don't know if you've ever tried to rent chairs from a venue. That shit is expensive. Just to sit down will cost you $10,000, right? Like, damn. It's an industry, and it's about money to that industry. Two people could love each other, like each other, work well together, build well together, and be together. They could even go and marry and not ever do a wedding, not ever do an engagement, not ever do an engagement party, not ever do pre-engagement gifts, not ever do promise rings and all that stuff. It's just an industry. I believe it'll never happen in the United States because we're invested in the industry of it. If people just woke up and was like, you know what? Instead of spending $35,000, $50,000, $100,000 on a wedding, I'll put that in a house. I'll put half of it in a house and the other half in investments. And they see the fruit of that, and that happens for a few generations, then maybe it'll change. But right now, not gonna happen. People are more interested in the party than they are in the long-term thing of it.
Something my aunt, shout out to my Aunt Rosie, said to me as I was contemplating getting married. And I may mess up the quote, but no, she said, don't make the wedding more important than the marriage. That stuck with me.
It's real shit.
Yeah. Don't make the wedding more important than the marriage. Like, you want to throw this party? Okay, yeah, cool. But what's really important is your union, your marriage, your wife, and what y'all build together. And that stuck with me. And so as I was planning that took a lot of pressure off making it a huge wedding and paying, because we were paying for it ourselves. I want to bring that tradition back where the parents pay for the shit. I would have loved that back then.
You won't love it now. You got 3 boys.
Yeah, you're right. No. Oh, no. It's the
father of the bride.
The parents of the bride that's supposed to pay for the wedding. I was like, yo. Now it's on me. Shit. Okay, fine. But yeah, that took a lot of pressure off. So, yeah, it is an industry because they looking to get money from you. Everything from flowers to napkins. You right. To chairs. To the placemats. What's the centerpieces? You paying for that.
You pay for
I don't
everything.
need
They
no
don't give
sentiment.
you nothing free. Nothing. And look,
Not a thing.
and then you gotta pay a motherfucker to go pay motherfuckers. Right? Like you gotta pay a wedding planner. Like, really?
Right.
Ugh.
Right. Now we didn't. We did it. We did it ourselves. We could have. I mean, you know, and being a DJ, my father-in-law also is a DJ. We had the sickest sound system. Like the venue was like, we've never seen anything like that. He has these 6-foot damn ghetto blaster speakers that was just old school with the amps, the Crown amps, not self-powered, not the, you know, self-contained powered speakers. No. He used old school. He built them himself.
Nice.
With his hands. 6-foot ass speakers on either side of the stage. I didn't have to pay for DJs. My man Demo and Chuck Chill Out. Chuck told me, "Hey, I'm coming to do your wedding." He even asked me. I didn't ask him. He was like, "Yo, I'm coming to do your wedding." That was Chuck. Thank you. So there was things that we were able to cut costs for, but all that other stuff, the food and the liquor and all that other stuff. Oh my God, it was. If I had a chance to do it again, I'd elope. Let's take that money and buy a house. But
If I had a chance to do it again, I wouldn't do it like I didn't do it the first time.
well, speaking of didn't do it the first time, have you seen The Heights from Lin-Manuel Miranda?
No, I didn't. I ran across that story and I didn't read it. I was like, I saw the headline and was like, I'm not gonna read this. I'm just gonna be triggered.
Well, okay. First of all, it was a stage play. It was a Broadway play, The Heights. And from what I understand, it takes place in the Heights in Washington Heights in New York City. Washington Heights, but the Dominicans call it Washington Heights. And
Fuck that
the
SH.
Broadway play was very inclusive of all the different complexions of Puerto Ricans and Dominicans and, you know, all the Latino people. The film, however, good story, the music and dancing was all great. But watching it, and my wife is, as she's been on the show before, she's as dark as Mike and I, from Honduras, fluent in Spanish as well, considered Afro-Latina. We watched it and didn't see anyone in the primary roles our complexion. It's like it just completely ignored or deleted the fact that those complexions exist in Latin culture. And they got called out for it. There was a sister on the route that interviewed the director and some of the cast members, and the answer they gave was not, they didn't relate. It was like, well, I think one of the actresses said, and even the director said, yeah, we auditioned, light skin, dark skin, everyone. And we were, getting the best people for the role, which is the wrong answers to say, because now you're insinuating that there were no dark skinned people that were, good enough that could do the role. That's like a corporation saying, hey, we couldn't find, there were no qualified Black people for this, this position that we were hiring for. So yes, all of our staff is white. So in any case, after getting all that heat for it, initially, Lin-Manuel kind of was like, kind of rebuffed it or whatever, but then ultimately he came out and issued an apology. And part of the quote is, I started writing The Heights because I didn't feel seen. And over the past 20 years, all I wanted was for us, all of us, to feel seen. I'm seeing the discussion around Afro-Latino representation in our film this weekend, and it's clear that many in our dark-skinned Afro-Latino community don't feel sufficiently represented within it. particularly among the leading roles. I hear the hurt and frustration over colorism, of feeling unseen in the feedback, and issued an apology. I take his apology. There's some people that's like, you could have kept that apology.
I don't think he needed to make one.
Really?
Really. At what point do we trust people, right? I'm pretty sure everybody's not 100% familiar with who Lin-Manuel is. Lin-Manuel is the guy who did Hamilton. Starred in it, put the whole thing together, the man, right?
Wrote it, produced, all that. And it was dope.
And it was very dope. Very well done. An opportunity to take a story about white people and put people of color in that story and tell that story. Groundbreaking. Didn't even notice the fact that these were people of color telling white people's story. Mm-hmm. We believe him to be woke, right?
Right.
So he puts this thing together. He says, I cast the people who did the best. And because there's an absence of dark-skinned people, we call him a liar, says he needs to apologize, said that, he's purposely leaving out people of color. At what point do we believe him, right? Is there ever an instance where everybody auditions and only black people were really good at it, so we only cast black people? Does another group then have to be able to say,
happened.
You mean there are no Asians who were good? Right? At what point do we let this shit go?
Well, here's the other side of it. Here's the other side of the coin. And like I said, I pay attention to it because, again, I'm in a Afro-Latino family, right? I notice when my mother-in-law watches the novellas and the Latin news that there's no dark skin representation on the news. There's no dark skin representation in the novellas, the soap operas. Latin TV in general ignores dark skinned Latinos. And then do a little more digging. There is colorism within Latinos also. You know what I mean? If you're dark, they don't believe that you don't really know Spanish. How do you know Spanish? Where are you from? There's that. So do I believe he maliciously, or the director maliciously left out dark-skinned Latinos? No. But there wasn't an effort to include them either.
See, I don't believe that, right? So I think television news and television novellas is a different machine. Do I believe that there is some intention behind that machine to exclude darker Latin people? Yes, I do. And further, I think there are probably parts of that machine that are not intentionally doing it, but it has just become so habit and part of the culture to not do it that they just continue that behavior. I believe that about that machine. But we're talking about a different machine. We're talking about a person who purposefully did a story about white people and included all people of color. And we now believe that this person is the perpetrator of colorism. That's very difficult for me to swallow because his track record doesn't show that.
I can agree to a certain degree. But also, it's hard understanding the history of it.
It's very difficult for me to understand the history of it, admittedly, because I have no roots in that community at all. So really, on some level, I'm just talking out of my ass, right? Some people who move in that space will have more information for me to correct me.
There are far more dark-skinned Latinos in Mexico and Cuba and all. But when you watch television and you see some of these shows, you don't see them. You kind of got to dig deep. There was a what's the brother Gates that does the ancestry shows.
I've heard of those shows. I have not watched those shows.
Sorry.
I'm trying to remember. They had somebody famous on there.
Is it Henry Gates?
Maybe.
Yeah, I believe it's Henry. Doggone it. I'm sorry, folks. Henry Gates. Yeah, Henry Louis Gates. He did this documentary series on Afro Latinos and Africans in the Latino countries, finding Black folks in Mexico and Cuba and Africans. You know what I mean? A lot of the things, the fact that the Dominican Republic and Haiti share an island, it's the same. They're the same people. There's a border like it's like splitting Decatur from Stone Mountain. It's like, it's like that close, right? Haiti and for those who are not in Georgia, Brooklyn and Queens. You get what I'm saying? They share the island. So how are the people so different? The Haitians are dark skinned, but there are just as many dark skinned Dominicans, and they diminish that part of the culture, that part of the people, and it's intentional. And this plays out in all the countries and all the cultures. There's a lot of there was a segment he called it, the Black grandmother in the closet. You know what I mean? Like it's serious. There's some serious self-hate. You know what I mean? And I'm not saying all. I don't want, but there is an issue there. There's a history there. There's something there, and so, not believing it was malicious, but again, habitual or just not an effort, not a valiant enough effort to be even more inclusive, because understanding what he represents and what he represents for Latin culture, right? If it's about being seen and being seen, being inclusive of everyone, Afro Latinos and all of, there would have been a more valiant effort to be inclusive.
So I'm not familiar with the Heights and the story of the Heights. It sounds to me like it's the story of Latin people in the States, right?
It's Washington Heights more specifically.
In one specific area in the United States.
Yeah. And understanding Washington Heights, again, it's not just light-skinned Latinos in Washington Heights.
Fair enough, right? So if that is the...
honestly, there's that many... it's like excluding dark-skinned Black people out of Brooklyn and only seeing light-skinned... You get what I'm saying? That's what it's like, okay, wait a minute. You're going to exclude me out of my story?
Fair point, right? So if that is the landscape that we're talking about, then I would say that the absence of dark Latin people isn't even genuine to the storytelling, right? That's like Friends, the series Friends having no Black people in New York, right? It's not genuine to the storytelling because there's a lot of Black people in New York. So if what you're saying to me is like, this is the story of Washington Heights, there's Dominican, there's Puerto Rican, there's Mexican, like there's all different types, all different hues, then the absence doesn't make sense with the storytelling. So like that's my kind of first level of critique. I still find it very difficult for him to believe that he was malicious in that and how that worked. That said, how far are we going to go with inclusivity? Right? Because to me, all right, we talk about inclusivity when it's a predominantly white cast film, right? We got to have more people of color in there. So you put more Black people in there or Latin people in there. But when it's Lovecraft Country or Raising Dion, or I'm trying to think of ones that I've seen that are predominantly black recently.
Okay.
We won't say we have to have more inclusivity in that. We won't say we got to put more white people in there. We got to put more Asian people in there. We got to put more Puerto Rican people in there.
Well, okay. Well, that's like saying we got to have a White History Month. Every month is White History Month. You know what I'm saying? The fact that we have Black History Month once, the shortest month of the year, it doesn't exclude. You know what I'm saying? It's been about y'all all the time. So to have a black story and to have to include more white people just would be intrusive.
Okay. So that's the our turn theory. The problem with the it's our turn theory is that it's...
But I'm sorry. To add to that, I'm going to cut you off. But when it pertains to the Heights, to Washington Heights, it would be like someone doing a story about your family,
Mm-hmm.
and then saying, okay, the light-skinned people are the ones that are going to portray everyone in your family. When you don't look like that. That's not what your family looks like. Your family has all different shades and light, right? But the best people to play the parts of your family are the light-skinned ones. And that's what we're going to run with.
In that scenario, you have an option of believing a couple of things. That they just hate dark-skinned people and they want to whitewash it or lightwash it, for a better phrasing, with light-skinned people, or that within the time frame they had to cast for the roles and all of the people that they saw, these people were the best. You have a choice, right? Because you will not ever truly know, because you cannot ever know the operation of another person's mind. So you will not truly know. You got an option of what to believe.
Again, there's history to colorism in the Latin culture. There's history to it. It's active.
And what I'm saying is he doesn't have a history of colorism. You see what I'm saying?
Okay.
Like, I believe that the colorism exists 100%, right? I believe that it exists. I believe it exists within the Latin community, the African American community, and the Asian community. It's I think every community has their level of that shit that they deal with. So I would never argue that it doesn't exist. I would just argue that this person has not shown a propensity to be that person. And one thing happens and they're like, it needs to be more inclusive and you need to give an apology, and then fuck your apology. And like, it just seems like a lot for this person who has not shown a history and a trend of being led that way.
I hear you on it. And again, I would want to believe that it wasn't intentional and there was no malicious intent, right? Also, I don't think he actually personally did the casting. There's a director that was, you get what I'm saying? So while he may not have a history of it, we don't know enough about the director and their background and what they've done.
The director was an Asian guy.
Okay.
So,
okay.
Right? Like, if there is some level of colorism that's happening there, that's probably more America systematic, or white is right thing infecting, his choices. And that's pure assumption. And him not pure assumption.
And him not understanding the history of colorism and how it, you get what I'm saying?
What?
So
now that you say that is probably a more likely scenario, right? That someone who is not in that community, hasn't been in that community, doesn't know the history of it, just selected these people and stepped in the shit and did not know he was stepping in the shit. But even if Lin-Manuel didn't pick the people himself, being at the top of it, he's ultimately responsible.
He should have been the one. Right, exactly. The buck stops with him because it's his shit. He should have been the one to go, wait a minute. These are not all my neighbors.
You know what?
These are not all you get what I'm saying? This doesn't look like this doesn't resemble what I grew up in. You get what I'm saying? Because if I was to do a story about growing up in Brooklyn, if I left out Jamaicans, if I left out Puerto Ricans, you know what I'm saying? If I left, you understand? If I left out, and I wasn't the one that picked it and saw it and goes, wait a minute, this doesn't look right.
It doesn't make sense to the storytelling, right? Like I said earlier, if you're telling the story of a community that's multicultural and you don't have multicultures in that storytelling, or it's multi-hue, if it's that dynamic happening and that dynamic does not show up on screen, it is not true to the storytelling. It is not an accurate depiction of the story being told.
So that goes back to Lin-Manuel. That's a blind spot.
Yes.
That he didn't pick up on. So whether it was, intentional or not, he didn't go, wait a minute, this is a problem.
You know what I think is a more likely scenario, taking into account how the business of it works? He probably saw the list of cast members and was like, what the fuck? But we are budgeted for this amount of time. We got to begin shooting on this day. We just don't have time to go back and grind through until we find the right dark-skinned person or the right dark-skinned people. We just got to move on with what we got, and hopefully people will just enjoy the storytelling and the fact that it's I'm assuming it was a predominantly Latin cast. I don't know if there were any other races involved.
The brother that played Dr. Dre and Straight Outta Compton, he's in it.
Okay,
but he's not. He doesn't. I don't think he's Latin in the. He's just a black dude.
Yeah. So
you know what I mean?
I think he's probably like, look, it's predominantly Latin cast. It's people of color, and something like this hasn't been done to this scale in, ever. I'm sure someone will correct me in the comments, but maybe that was his first step to say, okay, can we just get this done and then we'll be more accurate the next time? I think that's probably also a more likely scenario, that there were budgetary constraints, because when you got to get shot, you got to get shot. Mm-hmm. They don't give a shit that you ain't got the cast the way you want it or the rain came that day. You got to figure that shit out.
Listen, even West Side Story that had white people portray Puerto Ricans, they had tans. They had enough sense to tan some of them folks. And they was white. You're gonna be Bernardo.
West Side Story
was gonna be Bernardo.
Wasn't blackface, it was tan face.
Tan face like a mug, like for real. They had a few, actual Puerto Ricans in there. But Nicole Woods, that played Maria, she was a Caucasian woman. And I don't believe the cat that played Bernardo was Latin at all. They just tanned the hell out of him.
I'm mad that you remember all of the damn names of the people from West Side Story, bro.
First of all, don't judge me. You don't know my life. West Side Story, that is my shit. Let's be clear. That's one of my favorite movies, if not the favorite. It takes place in New York City. It's musical, there's dancing, and there's guns. What else? Well, there's one.
Sounds
there's one
like
gun.
Midtown
There's one
Atlanta.
Gun. Now, right? I can't go to Lenox Mall without being strapped. That's crazy. Hell going on down there, man.
Oh
shit. All right, well, folks, we're gonna wrap.
Yeah, I was looking at the time.
Interested in hearing your take on.
Out of here.
Really interested in hearing your take on what do you think about The Heights? You know what I mean? Let us know in the comments, and we'll respond to you as well. If you haven't subscribed already, please do so. Tell a friend, hit that like button, hit that notification bell, And follow us on all socials at Unpopin Show. And don't forget that website, unpopinshow.com. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Salute.
Peace. Thanks for checking out the Unpopular Opinion Show. If you like this content, make sure you like, subscribe, and smash the notification button down below so you can keep getting more from T-Storm and myself.
Yeah. More jokes coming on. No, they beep. Damn it. Okay, fine.